Tracie and I were discussing whether it was still morning, but there she is. It's great to have you join us today. I am Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deegan, and we are here today because housing has become unaffordable and unattainable for many in Jacksonville and across Florida. Families are struggling to make rent each month, and the goal of buying a home is currently out of reach for many of our neighbors and throughout the state. That's not news to any of you I know. Here in Jacksonville, the average price for just a one-bedroom apartment is now more than $1,500 a month. And 52% of renters are cost-burdened, meaning they spend more than 30% of their income on housing. The rent burden being carried by our families not only crunches their current budgets, but it hurts their ability to put money away to build for a down payment. The average price to buy a home is now over $300,000, and 22% of our homeowners are also cost-burdened. When families cannot afford to purchase or stay in a home, they just aren't losing out on the American dream. They're also losing out on the best way, and for many, the only way, to build generational wealth. We've felt the strain of these rising housing costs after years of inaction at the state level and misuse of the Sadowski Fund, a trust fund that was supposed to increase affordable housing across Florida. Jacksonville continues to play catch-up also from too many years of simply not investing in this issue. President Biden and Vice President Harris have already done a lot to secure cost savings for the middle class, and Vice President Harris knows there is much more work to be done. She grew up in a middle-class household like many of us, and she understands what many struggling families are facing. She's made clear that building up the middle class will be a defining goal of her presidency. The Vice President has a proven track record of doing just that. As Attorney General of California, after the 2008 housing crisis, she took on Wall Street and big banks on behalf of homeowners and won billions of dollars for hardworking families. So we can trust her to lead a new way forward, a way forward that lowers costs for all American families. That's why Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are committed to tackling this biggest financial burden for Florida families, the cost of housing. Vice President Harris knows that our nation's affordable housing crisis is making it hard for tens of millions of Americans to make ends meet, while putting millions of Americans out of reach of the dream of home ownership. She is the only candidate with a comprehensive 4-year plan to lower housing costs for working families. And frankly, it takes a page from what mayors all over the country have been doing for a long time. Here's what she's going to do when she's elected. First-time home buyers will have access to a historic $25,000 down payment assistance so that people can achieve the American dream of owning a home and building wealth for themselves and future generations. Her plan calls for the construction of 3 million new homes across the country, including right here in Jacksonville. It does so by providing tax breaks for home builders focused on first-time buyers and by expanding existing incentives for companies that construct rental housing. So what I love about this plan, a lot of carrot, not much stick, a lot of carrot. We like that, right? She's going to stop the Wall Street investors that too often rig our housing market and put the chance of home ownership out of reach. And last but certainly not least, her plan will invest $40 billion in cities that remove local regulations which prevent additional construction. This is a good moment to say how grateful I am for President Biden and Vice President Harris and their belief in cities. This has been the most city-friendly administration, really, of my lifetime, with hundreds of millions of dollars invested right here in Jacksonville. My administration has been laser focused on bringing home those tax dollars, so we've been applying for as many federal grants as possible with a great deal of success, I might add. Thank you to the Biden-Harris administration for investing in the challenges that we face in cities all across this nation, including here in Jacksonville. Vice President Harris will continue that support as our next president. Here in Jacksonville, we have been focused on addressing the affordable housing crisis too in my administration. The current budget for my first year in office includes millions of dollars for down payment assistance, roof rehabilitation, and gap financing programs. We've already put 13 first-time home buyers in new homes, with 87 more approved and now within reach of the American dream. We have replaced 24 roofs and have 47 more in the pipeline, so families don't lose their homes because of insurance requirements. And because inventory is everything, gap financing programs have supported affordable housing developers building 130 new units. All told, our city efforts will have nearly 4,000 units of affordable housing completed by the end of 2025. To continue that progress, our administration's proposed budget for next year included $10 million for an innovative affordable housing fund that would attract private and philanthropic investments and ultimately yield $120 million in multifamily affordable housing, more than 1,000 units. In fact, we already have almost $20 million in matching funds for that as we speak. Now, unfortunately, some members of the City Council Finance Committee voted to cut the funding for this critical program. The need for affordable housing is simply too great. It is too great for that to be the end of it. So we are working to have this important priority reinstated before Council votes on the final budget in September. Delays and obstacles, folks, simply are not an option. We need action. It's going to take all levels of government, local, state, and federal, investing and working together to make housing more affordable. Only Vice President Harris and Governor Walz have a national plan to address the housing crisis in Jacksonville and across the country. I'll say that again. They're the only ones that have a plan. There is an intangible element, too, to their efforts, or maybe not so intangible. I don't know. It is the way that they are approaching all of this. It is a solution-oriented, optimistic approach to what we need as people in this country, in this city and in this country. That's the approach they bring to governance. Grievance politics, you've heard me talk about it forever. It's what I ran against. It's what I believe is a problem in this country. Punishment, grievance, revenge politics will never get us where we need to go in Jacksonville, in the state of Florida, or in this country. So I am absolutely dedicated to the fact that love and unity has been a focus of this campaign. It's love and unity that powered our city's many successes during my first year as mayor. So together, we are going to take on America's housing crisis. To make Vice President Harris and Governor Walz's affordable housing plan a reality, we've all got to get focused on this election. It's going to take all of us showing up at the polls and sending them to the White House, because we all want and need those solutions. We all want that unity. We all want that optimism. We all want that, frankly, solution-oriented approach that we can all join arms and get done. So thank you for joining our efforts to chart a new way forward.